When applique is selected as the fill type, the area will be covered with fabric and there will be a border that will stitch around the shape. Initially, this border is a running stitch. If this border is removed from the shape, then the program will automatically add an E-stitch. Go to the Outline tab and select None. And when I rest my cursor on the shape, you now see the E or blanket stitch. This border can be changed to any of the decorative running stitches or to a satin serial. In Object Properties, you can change the parameters of the way that the applique will stitch. The offset can be checked and a number entered that ranges from -8 to +8. This value influences the distance from the original shape to the placement line. The default is 0. A negative value places the line inside the object, and a positive value places it outside the object. If the applique shape has no border, changing the offset also moves that E-stitch or zigzag stitch away from the originally drawn shape. You can also change the cleaning method, and if I place a check mark in front of cleaning, I have 3 different options. After embroidery, the cutting line is going to be done after the embroidery process. This is done for raw edge embroidery. During embroidery, adds a cutting line, and then the fabric can be cut before the cover stitch is stitched. Laser cut is used if the shape is pre-cut, as it would be with the cutwork tool or a cutting machine. There are program stops between the placement line, the tack down line, the cutting line, and the cover. The cutting line only occurs during embroidery process. The placement line shows you where to place the fabric, whether it's cut or it's a large piece of fabric that will be cut with a pair of scissors. The tack down line holds your fabric in place, and then the cover stitch will finish the edge of the design. Default fixing is used to change the E-stitch into a zigzag stitch. The zigzag stitch can then be positioned by placing a check mark in front of position and then choose one of 5 options. Center will place the zigzag over the center of the cut line. Inside will place the zigzag inside the cut object, and outside would place the zigzag outside the object. Outside with overlap will place the stitching line mostly outside the object with a tiny bit of overlap on the inside. Inside with overlap will place the stitches primarily inside the object with a tiny bit of overlap to the outside. If I choose E-stitch, the blanket stitch will return. To edit the width of the blanket stitch, go to the Outline tab of Object Properties, select Running, and select the Applique stitch. Place a check mark in front of length and change the value in the length box and press Enter. And you can see that changing the length also changes the width of the applique stitch.